Hello, my name is Emmanuel and this is just the basics. So usually I do live info sessions. I have had a few requests, however, during those live info sessions, or for those who couldn't make it to the info sessions, to make them into videos, and I've done shorter video series. But in this one, I'm going to go over one of my older info sessions with a few updates, and hopefully you'll find it useful. So, welcome to chapter 3 of being an expat in Switzerland. If you missed the first chapters, then run back real quick. They were on insurance and taxes, and then there will be some other chapters coming after this one. But for right now, we are going to go over your second pillar or your employee pension very quickly. Now, there are a lot of aspects to the second pillar, so I'm going to go over just some very basic things. Number one, your second pillar is not just a place where you're saving money, but it is also an insurance that is made to cover you in the event of disability or death. Every employee pension, every second pillar has to have a base level of insurance coverage in the events of disability or death. On your second pillar statement, which you get at the end of the year, it will outline how much your family will receive in the event of your death, how much they will receive in the event of your death from sickness, how much they will receive in the event of your death in an accident, which is a stark difference. It's a very, very big difference. How much you would receive if you were to become disabled, etc., etc. I have, for my friends, like many times gone through their second pillars for them just to show them what everything means. It can look daunting, but if someone can just point it out for you and tell you what means what, then you'll be good. So it's not as complicated as it looks. So, and if you want me to do it for you, then send me a message. I'll put at the end of the video an email address and Skype. So I'll even go over your second pillar for you very quickly for free, no cost. It takes literally 10-15 minutes. It's not a big deal if it takes that long, obviously. But part of the reason why I'm going over the second pillar is so that you understand part of what you will need as an expat here. So, as I said in the previous video, when it comes to mandatory health insurance, a lot of what you're doing is balancing one coverage for the other. So in your second pillar, that is a part where you'll have an insurance portion that will cover you in the event of an accident. So there are terms that are called BU and NBU, nicht berufliche Unfall, unberufliche Unfall. For those of you who actually speak German very well, please forgive my terrible German. I try to speak it. I'm not good at it. It is what it is. Anyway, so if you work under 8 hours a week for your employer, then they're only required to cover the BU, berufliche Unfall, which is accidents that will happen at work. If you're working more than 8 hours a week, then they will have to cover the nicht berufliche Unfall, which is basically if you're playing basketball and you twist your ankle, then your employer still has to cover the cost of that accident and the medical costs. As I said in the previous video, certain accident coverage that might be added on to your health insurance may not be necessary if it's already covered in your package. Now, there is a baseline, but I can tell you certain employers that I've dealt with, they go above and beyond what the base is. So it really does depend on what your employer offers you. There's one company I can think of specifically. I won't say their name because I don't know if I'm allowed to or not. Since there was one side of the insurance that wasn't covering to the full amount, the company itself took out a secondary policy to cover the portion that was missing, so that their employees would be covered for sickness, death and sickness, and death by accident equally, and not have to worry about that difference. Some still wanted more life insurance coverage in case of death. Some still wanted more coverage in terms of disability, even though their employer had gone above and beyond what was mandatory by Swiss law. That's fine if that's what makes you feel safe and secure and you need more insurance to cover X, Y, or Z, then go for it. But you should know what your base coverage is in your second pillar, just in case something like that were to happen. Now, if you're an expat, you might even be planning on leaving Switzerland. There's a really quick point that I'll bring up, and I won't go too into detail about it because I do have to save some stuff for clients or else I won't have a job. But if you're leaving Switzerland and you want to take your pension with you, that is a possibility. If you're staying within the EU, then you can only take out what is known as the extra mandatory portion. This is the portion of the pension that you're paying that is above and beyond what the Swiss minimum requirements are. And the Swiss minimum requirement is dependent upon your age. I won't go through the age brackets, but it's relatively easy to find. And if you're moving outside of the EU, then you can take the full amount. So then you can take that, if you're moving to Brazil, then you can take that full amount out. There are exceptions to how much you can take out and when you can take it out. So for example, if you're going to move to the UK while it's still in the EU, maybe by the time you see this video, Brexit's happened and we're in a whole new world, but at the time, Brexit's still going on and we don't know what they're gonna do. So let's say you're moving back to the UK and you're gonna buy a new home. If you're buying a home as your primary residence, then you can take the second pillar out, the entire second pillar out, not just the extra mandatory, and towards the purchase of that home. And depending on, certain other factors, that money will be taxed when you withdraw it, but there are certain ways to minimize that tax. So thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll leave my information on the screen and in the description below, and I hope to see you again.